What happens aback? A prince expects aristocratic analysis but gets advised like anybody else. Well, you're about to acquisition out because the Dorian TV Awards aloof became the date for one of the best atomic celebrity meltdowns bent on a live television. Before we dive into this complete alternation wreck, accomplish a biting you hit that subscribe button and beat a animadversion beneath cogent me what you ahead about celebrity entitlement. Trust me, your activity to appetite to allotment your thoughts afterwards audition what went down. The Dorian TV Awards, accepted for adulatory arete in television programming, had arrived Prince Harry as an appropriate bedfellow to present the accolade for Best Documentary Series. The allurement came afterwards his contempo adventure into television production, and the organizers' anticipation his attendance would add ascendancy to their ceremony. What they didn't ahead was the complete anarchy that would disentangle aback their agreement didn't adjust with his expectations as the cameras formed alive beyond the nation. Host Victoria Sterling, an acclimatized television presenter accepted for her non-nonsense approach, began the articulation that would become television history. The aureate date lights aflame the adorned belvedere as she able to acquaint the evening's appropriate guest. Ladies and gentlemen, Victoria appear with her appropriate poise. We acclimatize to accept with us tonight edition who has fabricated cogent contributions to the apple of documentary film. Amuse acceptable Harry, Duke of Sussex. Applause abounding the auditorium, but article was a non-wrong. Harry's announcement confused the moment those words labored Victoria's mouth. His jaw tightened, and you could see the anger beam beyond his face as he approached the microphone. "Thank you, Victoria," Harry began. His articulation acclimatized an angle that admirers are non-best up on, admitting I accept their adeptness be some abashing about my able introduction. Victoria, advancement her able demeanor, smiled warmly. "Of course, my apologies. How would you adopt to be introduced?" "Well," Harry said, adjusting his tie with accessible irritation. "I am Prince Harry, your aristocratic highness. That's the able protocol, and it's how I should be addressed throughout this evening." The restriction in the allowance became palpable. Victoria's smile remained fixed, but her eyes showed a beam of surprise. "I accept your preference, Harry, but our actualization follows our accepted architecture area. We acquaint all our guests by their able titles or accepted roles. We amusement anybody appropriately here." Equally, Harry's articulation rose hardly and the cameras bent every micro-announcement of his growing frustration. "Victoria, I ahead your confounding article axiological here. I'm not aloof anyone. I am an affiliate of the British aristocratic family, behindhand of my accepted alive status. That appellation doesn't aloof abandon because I've alleged a altered path." The admirers began to murmur, analysis the brewing confrontation. Victoria, to her credit, remained composed. "Harry, with respect, we've had aloft presidents, Nobel Prize winners, and active of accompaniment on this program. We advance constant agreement for all our guests. Tonight, your actuality as a documentary ambassador and presenter. This is absolutely unacceptable." Harry snapped, his articulation now acutely oral throughout the bashful auditorium. "Do you accept who you're speaking to? I've spent my complete activity actuality addressed properly, and I won't be beneath by some television show's approximate rules." Victoria's able affectation began to blooper aloof slightly. "Harry, I mean, no disrespect, but this is the Dorian Awards, not an aristocratic engagement. We actuality to bless television excellence, and that's absolutely what we're doing. Don't you cartel address me about account while accompanying disrespecting me." Harry accursed back, his field pointing adjoined Victoria. "You arrive me actuality beneath apocryphal pretenses if you had no ambition of alleviative me with the address my position demands." The cameras captured everything. The afflictive alive of admirers' members, the abashed expressions of adolescent celebrities in the advanced row, and best importantly, Harry's assent agitation. Victoria, able she was in alien territory, ambidextrous with a bearings no media training had able her for. "Harry," she said, her articulation demography on a firmer tone. "I'm activity to ask you to lower your voice. We're live on television, and this behavior is inappropriate for our area and our viewers." "Inappropriate?" Harry's beam was Absathian and loud. What's inappropriate is your complete abridgment of compassionate about basal address and protocol. I came actuality as a favor to your actualization, and this is how you amusement me. The bearings was ambageous, absolutely out of control. Victoria looked to area the show's producers in the wings, acutely gluttonous guidance. But Harry wasn't finished. You perceive what, Victoria? This complete assembly is beneath the standards I'm acclimatized to. If you can't actualization able account for who I am and what I represent, afresh conceivably I shouldn't be actuality at all. Harry, please. Victoria attempted to achieve control. Let's aloof abide with the accolade presentation. Our admirers are actuality to blessed television excellence. Our viewers. Harry's articulation dripped with disdain. These bodies acquainted in to see me, Victoria. They appetite to see Prince Harry, not some beneath adaptation you've absently to present. And if you can't bear that, afresh you're declining them aloof as abundant as you're declining me. The restriction had able a breaking point. Victoria straightened her shoulders, her backbone acutely acid thin. Harry, I'm activity to be actual bright with you. This is my show. This is our format. And if you can't conduct yourself professionally, afresh conceivably you should amend your participation. That was the moment aggregate changed. Harry's face ablaze red, and his articulation became alarmingly quiet. Did you aloof abuse me on a live television? Victoria's accord assuredly cracked. Her eyes narrowed as she stared anon at Harry, and aback she spoke. Her articulation agitated the ascendancy of Edition who had dealt with difficult guests before, but never absolutely like this. Harry, I didn't abuse you. I declared a fact. This is an able ambience, and if you cannot conduct yourself appropriately afresh, yes, your accord becomes questionable. The amphitheater fell into complete silence. Alike the camera operators seemed to authority their animation as they captured what was unfolding. Harry's face went through an alternation of expressions. Shock, rage, an article that looked about like atheism that Edition was absolutely continuing up to him. You accept absolutely no abstraction what you've aloof done, Harry said, his articulation abashed with fury. Do you accept the force of about to join or affiliate of the aristocratic family? This isn't aloof some celebrity spat. Victoria, this is an all-embracing adventure cat-and-mouse to happen. Victoria's beam was articulate and incredulous. An all-embracing incident. Harry, you're a bedfellow on a television accolade show, not an agent negotiating a accord treaty. Your faculty of airs is bluntly astounding. That animadversion hit Harry like a concrete blow. His aperture opened and bankrupt several times before words assuredly came out. My faculty of self-importance. I am important, Victoria. I represent article bigger than this little television show. Bigger than your career. Bigger than annihilation you've anytime accomplished. Really? Victoria's articulation was ice-algid now. And what absolutely do you represent, Harry? Because from area I'm standing, you represent Edition who absolved abroad from aristocratic duties, but still expects aristocratic treatment. You can't accept it both ways. The admirers gasped audibly. Edition had aloof said what millions of bodies had been thinking, and they said it anon to Harry's face on a live television. Harry's acknowledgement was actual and explosive. How cartel you? He shouted. No best caring about breeding or the cameras capturing every word. How cartel you abate aggregate I've sacrificed, aggregate I've accustomed up to some petty complete chore for your affecting little show. Victoria didn't back down. Harry, the abandoned actuality authoritative this about seed and giving things up is you. We arrive you actuality to present an award, not to accept an analysis affair about your activity choices. Analysis session. Harry's articulation reached a angle that fabricated several admirers' associates visibly uncomfortable. You ahead, this is therapy? This is me aggravating to advance some basal address while you systematically attack to abase me in advance of millions of people. Nobody is base you except yourself. Victoria attempt back. Your behavior appropriate now is added damaging to your acceptability than annihilation I could anytime say. Harry stepped off the piece to Victoria, his field pointing accusingly. My reputation, my acceptability was congenital over decades of service, of accommodating work, of apiary the acme with dignity. And you ahead one television actualization is activity to change that. I ahead this television actualization is assuming body's absolutely who you are back you don't get your way. Victoria replied after flinching. And frankly, it's not an acceptable look. The camera zoomed in on Harry's face, capturing the moment a back article's central him seemed to snap. His articulation became alarmingly quiet again, but this time it agitated an alarming undertone. Victoria, you accept fabricated the better aberration of your career. Do you accept the affectionate of access I have? The connections, the adeptness to accomplish or breach careers in this industry. Victoria's eyebrows attempt up. Are you absolutely aggressive my career on a live television because I won't alarm you by an aristocratic title? I'm not aggressive anything, Harry said, admitting his accent appropriate otherwise. I'm artlessly pointing out that accomplishments accept consequences, and your accomplishments tonight will accept actual austere consequences. The show's producers were aimlessly signaling from the wings, acutely absent to cut to commercial. But Victoria wasn't a betment down. Harry, let me be bright about something. If you ahead you can alarm me or abuse my alimentation because I won't bow and scrape to your demands. You've actively misjudged the situation. Misjudged? Harry's beam was acrid and bitter. The abandoned actuality misjudging annihilation actuality is you. You ahead this is some game, some ratings grab for your little award show. But your arena with armament you don't understand. Forces. Victoria's articulation was incredulous. Harry, you're not a superhero. You're a man accepting anger because Edition didn't use your adopted title. The abandoned force at assignment actuality is your own ego. That animadversion seemed to breach article axiological in Harry. His composure, what little remained of it, absolutely shattered. My ego, you sanctimonious, affected broadcaster. You accept no abstraction what it's like to backpack the weight of expectation, of tradition, of apiary article greater than yourself. And you accept no abstraction what it's like to assignment your way up in an industry based on a rate rather than birthright. Victoria accursed back. But here's the aberration amid us, Harry. I don't apprehend appropriate analysis because of my background. Harry's face angry and alarming adumbration of red. Appropriate treatment. Allurement to be addressed by my able appellation is appropriate treatment. This is basal respect. Article you acutely apperceive annihilation about. Account is earned, Harry, not demanded, said firmly. And appropriate now. Your behavior is owning you the adverse of account from anybody watching. Anybody watching. Harry looked anon into the camera, his announcement agrarian and unfocused. Anybody watching knows absolutely who I am. They apperceive what I've done, what I've accomplished, what I represent, and they apperceive that this affecting alibi for a television host is aggravating to abate that. Victoria followed his boring to the camera. What anybody watching knows is that they are witnessing Edition who claims to represent address and service, throwing an accessible anger because he didn't get his way. Harry spun aback to face her, his articulation ascent to abreast shouting levels again. This isn't a tantrum. This is me continuing up from my self-adjoined Edition who acutely has an agenda. Edition who arrive me actuality beneath apocryphal pretense is aloof to abash me. The abandoned apocryphal pretense here, Victoria said, her articulation acid through his shouting, is your acceptance that the apple owes you article because of an appellation you are built in with. The blackout that followed was deafening. Harry stared at Victoria with an announcement of authentic shock, as if no one had any time announced to him that way in his complete life. Aback he assuredly spoke. His articulation was almost aloft a whisper, but the microphones best up every word. You've aloof concluded your career, Victoria. You apprehend that, don't you? Victoria stared at Harry for a continued moment, and aback she assuredly responded. Her articulation was abiding and unwavering. Harry, if speaking the accuracy about your behavior ends my career, afresh so be it. But I won't be afraid into acquiescence by anyone, behindhand of their accomplishments or connections. The words hit Harry like a bang beyond the face. His eyes widened and for a moment he seemed absolutely speechless. The cameras captured every additional of his abashed announcement as he candied what Victoria had aloof said. You ahead this is bullying. Harry's articulation absurd slightly. I came actuality in acceptable faith, assured basal able courtesy, and instead I've been subjected to this accessible humiliation, and now you're acting like you're the victim. Harry, the abandoned actuality base you is you. Victoria replied firmly. Every chat out of your aperture has been about ambitious appropriate treatment, authoritative threats, and throwing accusations. That's not the behavior of addition who deserves respect, aristocratic appellation or not. Harry's easily began to agitate visibly. Appropriate treatment. Victoria, I've spent my complete developed activity in service, aggressive service, accommodating service, accessible service. I've acceptable the appropriate to be advised with address, and I've spent my complete developed activity alive to get area I am. Victoria attempt back. The aberration is I don't apprehend the apple to angle over backwards because of what I've done. I do my job. I amusement bodies with account, and I apprehend the aforementioned in return. Respect. Harry's articulation rose again, his ascendancy bottomward further. You alarm this respect? You've systematically broken me down, questioned my character, absolved my achievements, and now you're lecturing me about earning respect. Victoria's backbone had able its complete limit. Harry, I've done annihilation but acknowledge to your added inappropriate behavior. You came actuality as a guest, and you've acted like a baby adolescent who didn't get his way. Baby child. The words seemed to physically anguish Harry. His face angled with acerbity and hurt. A baby child. Do you accept any abstraction what I've been through? What I've sacrificed? What I've endured? Harry, anybody has been through things, Victoria said, her articulation acceptable added compassionate, but still firm. That doesn't accord you the appropriate to amusement bodies ailing aback they don't baby to your every demand. Baby to my demands. Harry was about hyperventilating. Now, allurement to be alleged by my able appellation is accoutrement to demands. This is who I am, Victoria. This is my identity, my heritage, aggregate I was aloft to be. And this behavior is additionally who you are. Victoria replied quietly. This entitled, demanding, aggressive actuality continuing in advance to me appropriate now. Is this absolutely the bequest you appetite to leave? That catechism seemed to hit Harry harder than annihilation abroad, Victoria had said. His face went anemic and his articulation abandoned to a whisper. Legacy. You ahead, this defines my legacy. Harry, your bequest is actuality accounting appropriate now in absolute time in advance of millions of viewers, Victoria said gently. And appropriate now. It's not the bequest of addition who represents address and service. Harry looked about the amphitheater as if seeing it for the aboriginal time. The cameras, the audience, the lights, aggregate seemed to beat him. Aback he looked aback at Victoria. His announcement had afflicted completely. This is impossible, he said, his articulation breaking. This accomplished bearings is impossible. I can't do this anymore. Harry, Victoria said, her accent abatement slightly. Why don't we aloof booty your animation and no? Harry cut her off, his articulation acceptable frantic. No, I can't booty your breath. I can't pretend this is okay. I can't angle actuality and be advised like this. He began abatement abroad from the podium, his movements aberrant and panicked. This is wrong. This accomplished affair is wrong. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't accept to accord with this. Victoria able out slightly, as if to calm him. Harry, please, let's aloof don't. Harry snapped, pointing at her again. Don't try to fix this now. You've fabricated your choice, Victoria. You've apparent anybody absolutely what you ahead of me, and I won't angle actuality and booty it anymore. The admirers watched in abashed blackout as Harry began affairs at his microphone pack, his easily afraid so abominably he could almost administer the simple task. I'm done. I'm done with this show. I'm done with this treatment. I'm done with all of it. Harry, wait. Victoria alleged out, but he was already effective to join the ancillary of the stage. No. Harry shouted over his shoulder. I waited continued enough. I waited for basal respect, basal courtesy, basal animal decency, and instead I got this accessible execution. He stumbled hardly as he able to date steps, communicable himself on the railing. The cameras followed his every move as he angry back. One final time. You appetite to apperceive what this is absolutely about. Victoria? Harry's articulation agitated beyond the now adhesive auditorium. It's about bodies like you cerebration. You can breach bottom-ward bodies like me aloof because it makes acceptable television. Well, congratulations. You got your moment. Victoria stepped forward, acutely absent to de-escalate. Harry, that's not what this was about at all, wasn't it? Harry's beam was alveolate and bitter. Afresh explained to me why a simple appeal for able agreement angry into this appearance assassination. Explain to me why you acquainted the charge to catechism aggregate about who I am and what I represent. Because your acknowledgement was absolutely asymmetric to the situation, Victoria said honestly. A simple alteration about titles became threats and accusations and demands for appropriate treatment. Harry stayed at her for a continued moment, his chest bouncing with emotion. Appropriate treatment? There's that byword again. Maybe you're right, Victoria. Maybe I am allurement for appropriate treatment. Maybe.